Hey everybody, welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Matt, and Alonso's here, and Christy's here, and they're going to talk about the sit-in, which I didn't see. So tell us about it.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a Peacock original, and it's about a sort of big moment of cultural history that a lot of people don't know about. I only kind of vaguely knew about this happening, but basically in 1968, Johnny Carson took a week off from The Tonight Show, which was, a pop culture juggernaut, one of the most popular late night shows in history, and he handed the desk over to Harry Belafonte, who was a beloved entertainer for black and white audiences alike. And Belafonte used the opportunity and the platform that he was given to kind of amplify as many voices of change as he could. So over the course of that week, the big marquee gets, he had Robert F. Kennedy, who had not yet announced his presidency, his candidacy for the presidency in 1968, and Martin Luther King Jr., but also Dionne Warwick and Buffy St. Marie and, activist actors like Paul Newman. And so it was a very big deal, and a lot of people watched. And a lot of people talk about it, and he gave exposure to a lot of people who were not necessarily given a venue on network television. Aretha Franklin. And then sadly, because of the way that TV archiving worked at the time, very little of it still exists. The tapes got erased all the time. So apart from the RFK and MLK interviews and one musical performance, there's very little record left of this week. But Harry Belafonte is still with us. He is interviewed in the doc, as well as Dionne Warwick and other performers who are still alive, and also kind of cultural critics who talk about the ongoing importance of this moment, including the current Tonight Show band leader Questlove. And so it's a really cool look at what was a very fraught moment in American history, and how celebrities did and still do use their spotlight as a way to shine a light on issues that need to be discussed in the public sphere.
So I knew none of this.
Wow.
And I'd never heard of this, and it's so fascinating. And one point that the film makes, which is so interesting, is Yoruba Richen is the director. Mm-hmm. And the Johnny Carson's whole persona and late night in general was all about easy, comfortable laughs, right?
You're in bed already.
Right, lulling you to sleep and not making you think too hard, and just sort of helping you unwind at the end of the day. And Harry Belafonte did something that had not been done, which was to use that time to bring people together to talk about substantive issues. February of '68 is such a fraught time, such a time of upheaval. To quote Walk Hard, as we were talking about Walk Hard earlier, the 60s are an important and exciting time. And so there's so much going on that, like, Johnny Carson, I think, recognized that he was not the one to confront these issues, that was not his persona, that was not his bread and butter, that was not his strength.
His brand.
But Harry Belafonte, as both an entertainer and an activist, and somebody who was really entrenched with the civil rights movement, was friends with MLK, hung out with him, marched with him, worked with him, was the right person to do it. And it's fascinating to think now how rare that was, because every single late night host now uses his monologue. I won't say his or her, because they're all men at this point, pretty much. That's standard to make either satirical jokes, or increasingly throughout this administration and throughout this pandemic, to use that platform to make serious points, to make serious arguments. Seth Meyers every single week will do that closer look, where he'll do a brilliant breakdown of whatever is happening that matters, that we need to know about. And so to think that this was like not done, decades ago, is really interesting. Also, it is such a shock that they would just use the same tape over and over again and tape over it, like to save money or materials.
Coincidentally, Dave and I did an LKTV this week talking about lost television, and you would be amazed at what, like, the first several Super Bowls don't exist. They got erased.
There's an issue with that with like the first few seasons of Doctor Who. Are like that. They were all erased. And also part of it, at least in the UK, and there's probably some of this happening maybe on late night at that time, is there's rights issues. I know in the UK it was rights issues, the rights issues were closer to theater, so they couldn't archive them, at least in the UK. And I wonder with some of the late night stuff, did that run similarly?
Or they just didn't think anybody cared. They just thought it was just ephemeral, you know. I mean, like the Duralde network apparently dumped decades or years worth of kinescopes into the East River. You know, it's insane. You know, so this is only relative, like it's only since like the mid '70s or even like the early '80s that really the people have been making more of an effort. Like the daytime Hollywood squares, you know, with the Paul Lynde legendary stuff. All gone. All that's left is like the nighttime and syndicated version. So yeah, there's so much classic TV that's just not around.
But like Buzzer will show old episodes of To Tell the Truth and things like that. So I don't know. Someone had the foresight to hold on to that stuff.
Exactly. I mean, like, you know, when we talk about like part of the genius of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz was like they shot I Love Lucy on film, you know. And so unlike so many other early sitcoms, like it's around and it's enduring and it'll be around forever. But
who was the silent star that lost the two fingers?
Buster Keaton?
It was the one that hangs from the clock.
Harold Lloyd.
Harold Lloyd. Like the Lloyd shorts, nobody remembers the Lloyd shorts, and he was never as popular as Chaplin and Keaton because Chaplin and Keaton had all of their films like in circulation and syndicated, and Lloyd had never cut that deal. Although everybody at the time, Harold Lloyd apparently was the bigger star, and people nuts over him. But we don't remember this decades later, and so you know, let that be a lesson to all of us on how like history matters and who's telling the stories.
In recent years, a lot of pretty much all the Harold Lloyd material has been made available. His granddaughter.
But the point that I'm making.
Yes, absolutely. The out of sight, out of mind, for sure.
What's interesting too with this is they comment that this week of shows that Harry Belafonte hosted, at that point, were the highest rated Tonight Show episodes they had ever had.
Yeah, like the opening night broke the record, and then every week got more viewers. Every night got more viewers.
But it has been really, really difficult for anybody of color to then go on to be a late night host. So we have Trevor, but they interview Whoopi Goldberg in this film, who briefly had a late night talk show of her own, and just how it still really is a very predominantly middle-aged white male thing. You know, you have Samantha Bee, but you know they show clips of the Joan Rivers show, like, but it's really
like since Arsenio Hall, like, who was the late night, like, right?
Yeah, no, he was the outlier for sure. Christy, did you know the Petula Clark Harry Belafonte story?
No, but that's fascinating too. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time to get into it, but yeah, there's a whole thing with Petula Clark, and she was touching his arm.
She touched his arm, and the sponsors lost their shit over it. That's like the sort
of her show. When he appeared on her show, yes, and she was a guest there as well.
It's a huge moment in TV.
Yeah, no, it's really enlightening, and it's really relevant still today as far as the kinds of issues that they are talking about in these episodes, and just what the media landscape looks like. So I recommend it highly if you have Peacock.
And, you know, people like to give shit to celebrities who, you know, dare to have political opinions. But look, I think that the way that, you know, the world is set up, if you're going to follow me with a camera and a Klieg light wherever I go, then I'm going to take you to the places that I want to show you. And, you know, whether that's literally like Audrey Hepburn doing stuff for UNICEF or figuratively, you know, where it's like, okay, you're going to interview me. You want to hear what I have to say about nonsense. I'm going to talk to you about non-nonsense. And if you care, you're going to report it, and people can make up their mind from there. So
Harry Belafonte is... Harry Belafonte also, by the way, 93 years old, interviewed in this, lucid, charming, charismatic as ever, just radiant on screen. So
smart as a whip. Yeah.
So I'm saying 8.6.
I said 8. Check it out, and Peacock is free. There is an ad version that you can download and watch it on. So if you don't mind some commercials, you don't have to subscribe. Check it out for sure.
Definitely. 8.3 is our number.
Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us at Twitter, at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're talking about, speaking of the Black presence on television, we're talking about Lovecraft Country on HBO, also HBO's The Vow, and we are taking votes as to which Diana Rigg classic we'll be reviewing in September. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.